This is another episode of the Dev Coaches Podcast, and today we're sitting down with Cassandra Faris. Cassandra is the president of DogFoodCon, where we're recording from today. We're glad to be here with you. And you're also work in HR, I believe, for a company called Improving. Mm-hmm. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I work for Improving. We are a software consulting company based in Dallas with offices in Columbus, Cleveland, Twin Cities, Houston, Calgary, and College Station. My role is talent management as well as community outreach. So I hire people into our company, I help grow their careers, and then the other piece of my job is coordinating the user groups and meetups and conferences that Improving helps support.
Excellent. I know I had the opportunity to sit in on one of your conference talks last year at CodeMash, and you were talking about career growth and opportunities that way. And I thought maybe that we'd take a little bit of an opportunity to talk about that today. We have a lot of junior developers and people starting off in their careers that are interested in those topics. So maybe
and in fact, like negotiating actually getting a job tends to be the most difficult part that people have a hard time with.
Yeah.
Like what do you tell people to do? Like how's that work?
So my career advice basically boils down to learn stuff and meet people.
Yeah.
Like that's really all it is. And by that, the number one thing I tell people to do, especially if they're more junior, is that they should be, even if they're still in the midst of their boot camp or their college classes or whatever route they're taking to software development, even in the midst of that, they should be going and tapping into their technical community and finding meetups and finding conferences and finding events.
Yeah.
And meeting people. And it has a couple different effects. One is that you start to get to know people who are probably hiring. Mm-hmm. Every technical event is crawling with recruiters who want to hire people. The other benefit it has is that as a recruiter or somebody hiring, when I see on somebody's resume that a junior level developer has a community involvement component on their resume, to me that sets them apart. And I'll automatically follow up with that person versus somebody who isn't showing that initiative to go above and beyond the regular curriculum.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I also think it helps a lot with just practicing talking to people, because if the first time like you go into an interview, it's the first time you've spoken to somebody in a long time, like you're going to be nervous and it's going to come off weird and you're going to struggle with it. And just going out and interacting with people all the time helps break up that nervousness, helps the conversation be a little more fluid, helps you focus more on the things you actually want to talk about versus being like in your own head.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And just kind of to bounce off that, the other thing is it's a lot easier for us to teach you technical skills. We can give you a book or a video or something, and you can learn at least, high level about the new framework or whatever it is. But learning to talk to people, explain your projects, explain your background, that just takes practice, and that's harder to teach than the technology component.
It's way harder to teach because it's like you can't do it alone, because you can learn the technical stuff at home, at night, on your own time. You cannot learn to be social at home at night on your own time. You're going to have to go out and interact with people.
Exactly. And user groups are a great place to start because when you're in a user group, you automatically have something in common with everybody else there. You're interested in the same technology, so you have one point of kind of starting a conversation, one point of interest, and that can help you get to know people.
So, we mentioned negotiating. What kind of tips do you have for folks with negotiation? I mean, I know you and I talked briefly about if it's your first job, you're almost better off to just take what you can get in there. But as you progress, how do you recommend approaching that?
So the first thing you want to do, even on your first job, is do your research. Go online, go on a couple different resources. There are a couple different salary calculators you can use. One is salary.com, one is payscale.com. There's a few. I would Google salary calculators, look at what the entry-level salaries are for developers in your area, and target that salary range. So that's my first tip, is just to do your research on salaries. And then when it comes to the salary conversation, don't be afraid to state the number that you're worth. Now, as you progress and early in your career, your priority is just to get a job, and to get a job that hopefully pays the market rate. But as you get a year of experience, and especially after you get 2 years of professional experience, suddenly a whole bunch of stuff opens up. Everybody wants mid-level developers, and by 2 years in, you can be considered mid-level, and you start to have more options where you might be able to take a position not only based on salary, but on a technology you're interested in, or an industry you're interested in, or perks or work from home options or something. But early on, the goal is just to get a job and stay there and learn as much as you can.
The biggest mistake I see people make is that they only talk to one company, and then they they get so focused on, I need to work at that place and I'm going to work at that place no matter what. So they stop talking to everybody else. And now they've lost all kind of leverage to do anything ever because they have no other options. And it's like you wouldn't do that in other parts of your life. Like you don't go, we're going to date and you're going to be the only person I ever speak to ever. Like that's not how anybody does anything. It limits your options and it really it cuts your legs off.
It does. And there are people that they only want to work at this big company or this trendy startup, and that's right, the only one that they'll target. And
Right.
that's not necessarily, as you get further in your career, you can be a little bit pickier about those things, but early on, talk to as many people. So talk to a lot of people, but do your research too. Like
Right.
if you are interviewing with a company, do your research on what that company does because you're going to be asked about that in the interview. And go on websites like Glassdoor and read people's feedback on what it's like to work at that company to see if it's something you want to work at or not. If it's the type of culture you want to be a part of.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
So, what other tips would you have for folks to navigate their career growth besides negotiation? What other things should they be focused on?
I guess initially you want to focus on like building a network, and so kind of to touch a little bit more on the whole networking component. So you'll go to a user group, you'll go to a meetup, and then you'll meet 2 or 3 people who are really cool, and you like to talk to them, get their contact information. And then when you get back from that meetup the next day, a couple days later, connect with them on LinkedIn and or send them an email. Just say, hey, it was great to meet you. You can even do things like say, do you want to meet up for coffee sometime? Or maybe you both talked about an upcoming event, or you both talked about some shared interest, and then maybe you see a blog post on that interest. You share it with them, just kind of follow up and start using online interactions as a way to grow your relationships. That's a big thing. Anytime you find people that you can help, do that. If you can, if you hear that somebody is looking for volunteers for their group and you meet somebody who wants to volunteer and stuff, you put those people in touch with each other. The more people you're connecting with each other, the more you're helping your community, and it makes people want to help you in return.
Yeah, that's really good because I think a lot of people ignore the practical aspects of networking and they think, okay, I'm going to go to meetups, I'm going to talk to people, and then that's the end.
Yep.
But that
No
doesn't
follow-through.
really help you in any way
Yeah.
because you haven't actually created any relationship with
Exactly.
anybody. And the relationship is the thing that gets you in the door.
Yeah.
I can
it's
attest throughout my career, almost every position I've had was through my network, not through a recruiter, not through anything like that.
I mean, of my company, my local office has 45 people or so. 7 of them I met through Twitter initially.
Twitter.
Met them through Twitter, followed them on Twitter because they were tweeting about conferences. And then came to find out in a couple cases I had a mutual interest in board games with some of them, others it was soccer. In some cases it was, we went up to each other at a conference and said, hey, I follow you on Twitter, it's nice to meet you. And so that took years for that to happen. I mean, I've been doing Twitter for a lot of years now, but probably about once a year I wind up bringing somebody on board that I initially met through Twitter.
Yeah, and you mentioned games. I can tell you personally, like playing games with people is like you learn so much about how people think and how like they interact with each other, and it's a really great way to meet people because you're more natural.
Exactly.
And you're less nervous and you're not talking about like the technology or the job or anything. You're just getting to know each other. And then it's much easier to have the other conversations then.
Yep, and that applies to any hobby. You find out somebody's into running, you find out somebody's into, whatever. If you can connect with somebody not only over technology, but over a shared hobby or interest, then that right there is 2 touch points, which makes the relationship stronger because it makes them a person as well as a professional.
And building those relationships, taking the time to cultivate those builds trust so that when it comes time to reach out to your network, those people are more apt to stick their neck out for you to help you get that job.
Exactly.
So what are you doing the rest of the day?
What am I doing the rest of the day? I am headed down to my booth to do my day job.
Okay.
Probably going to have a few people. I know I've had a couple other people that were looking for advice on getting their talks accepted, so I'm going to follow up with somebody on that. Checking out my keynoters and speakers, and I may check out a couple sessions this afternoon, which would be kind of nice.
Which one's he looking at?
There's one on communication that I'm interested in.
Okay.
Creating an open environment of communication. Somebody I know through another user group is doing one of her first conference talks today. I want to go watch that. And then actually two people who are doing their first conference talks, and I'd like to go see both of those ladies speak as well. So
That sounds fun.
And I believe I saw you got conference talks accepted at Code Mash again this year.
I didn't get accepted at
Oh, you
Code
didn't?
Mash.
Oh, I'm
no.
sorry. I thought
That's all
I
right.
thought I saw you did.
Nope, not this year.
Okay.
It's all right, no.
I was going through for some reason. I thought you did, but
No, my next ones are I have Columbus Women in Tech.
okay.
I'm doing a talk on personal and professional health in the tech industry and or physical and mental health in the tech industry, and how if we don't take care of those things, then we can't be effective team members. And then at the end of the month, I'm doing that talk as a keynote at Full Stack Toronto.
Excellent.
And then after that, I'm sure I'll find some other conference to get involved in.
Yeah.
Start writing next year's content, and I'm considering looking into Toastmasters as well to kind of refine my speaking skills. So.
Toastmasters.
Yeah.
I've heard that term. What is that?
So from what I understand, it's a group that helps you learn to just deliver better speeches. And a couple friends of mine have been through it, and they're like, that would be a good way for you to just help,
Really?
enhance your speaking skills. And so it's something I've been toying with, and it looks like my schedule might free up enough. But I'll let's check out a couple meetings and see.
It sounds like fun.
Yeah, so we'll see.
You got anything else you want to promote? Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever?
I'm on Twitter at Cassandra Faris. If you don't like soccer or technology or pictures of corgi dogs, you don't want to follow me there. I'm on Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm all over the conferences. So, yeah. And then my company is at Improving Ohio. Most of that Twitter account shouts out the meetups and things that we're hosting at our company and encourages, who our people are who are speaking.
Well, I just, I want to thank you for being with us today and congratulate you on another wonderful, successful conference this
you.
year at DogFoodCon.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun.
Yes,
Thank
it
you.
You should
really
come
was.
next year.
And it's great to see all the activity and involvement you have in the community. It's a wonderful thing.
Thank you.
So thank you very much.
Yep.